Anybody? Now, did you plan that together when he spoke? Come on.
Governor, talked to a lot of people who are gay or transgender and during the process of this bill going through the legislative process. And they're afraid that what's not on the page might chill speech in the classroom about people like them or teachers who maybe are gay. And when those topics come up about what your family looks like, they're afraid. Can you talk to them and just assuage their fear?
Well, I think what you said is very important. That's not on the page. That's not in the book. We're talking about classroom curriculum. There are different issues that will come up in the course. Kids will have questions on as they get older. I think, honestly, these kids probably aren't at that stage yet, but as you do. And so it's focused on the type of curriculum that we've shown here, which is not appropriate for these young kids. And it also says all grades, it needs to be age appropriate, which I think most people agree with. And then the protections for parents so that they're involved in what is going on with their kids. And when you listen to January tell her story about what they did with her child without her knowledge or consent, I don't think there's very many parents in the state of Florida that think that's okay. I can tell you, I don't think that's okay. First Lady, you don't even want to know what she would say. So that's what it's about. It's about protecting parents' ability to be involved, and it's making sure that the classroom instruction, particularly at these very young age, are focused on math, science, and reading. And what's not on the page is not what's going to be done. We are textualists, so we follow the law, and I know Richard will make sure that the Department of Education is going to follow the letter of the law, and that's how it should be. Yes, sir.
Governor, can you then talk about what age appropriate means?
Richard, you want to talk about that, because I know you guys in the school boards, and they have different.
And if you look at the language, it allows us to.
Yep.
If you read the last part of the bill, it gives the department once this bill is signed, now we can go and, whether it's the standards, whether it's the curriculum, whether it's the professional development, work it out so that people have that clear understanding. And I think if you talk to teachers, Jeff, you'll find that teachers are supportive of, they want guardrails. Where it's frustrating for a teacher is someone to say, hey, you're in trouble, you crossed the line, and nobody said the line was there. What this does is set clear guardrails, and I'll quote Justice O'Connor, age appropriate, I think people know what age appropriate is. We wouldn't be here having this discussion if generally speaking, there wasn't a real issue or a real problem. I mean, they're perfect examples. And so I think it's a great bill. It's a great opportunity for the department to make clear guidelines and guardrails for the teachers, and I think the teachers will be happy with that.
I thought that was already not allowed to be taught in K-3 anyway. It's not part of the standard.
No, what do you see happening?
That was here in Palm Beach. I mean, that's found in Florida when you have the genderbread man. And I think Palm Beach, as you said, for second grade, they were saying it. And I think that's a good point, Richard, with the teachers. People that go in to teach kindergarten do not want to be teaching this as part of the curriculum. They want to focus on things that are core academic subjects and then obviously are age appropriate. I think the danger in how this has gotten in is not because most teachers want it to be. I think it's because these are directives from on high, from the bureaucracy, or from very politicized members of school boards. And I think that's what we've seen across the country. So most teachers just want to teach. They're not getting involved with very young kids to try to pursue some type of ideological agenda. They just want to do it. And so I think in some ways it's a parent's protection, but I also think it's a teacher protection, because now teachers will be protected against someone from on high, whether in a bureaucracy or in a school board, telling them that they need to do genderbread man, or telling them that they need to talk about things like transgender to a first or second grader. Let's focus on the core academic subjects. Those issues, particularly for that age, that's something that parents can discuss or not as they deem appropriate, but that is not the right of a school district to supersede the parents' rights and inject things that the parents don't think are appropriate at those ages.
Governor, what's the biggest misconception to you that you're hearing people talk about this bill that bothers you the most?
Well, honestly, I think it's just the fact that they tried to sloganeer, they tried to create things that were not in the legislation, which that's politics. That's what happens. But they're doing it, I think many of these leftist politicians, they're doing it because they actually support having woke gender ideology in first grade. They support how January was treated by the school system there. They don't think parents should know. They think you should be able to have a school district that will gender transition somebody without even telling the parents or giving them the consent. So they've got to figure out a way to camouflage that policy position, because that is not a policy position that is going to be terribly popular. So I think that they've gone through sloganeering and all these things really out of desperation, because they know they could never argue their position on the merits. They would have to, they would crumble, I think, under the weight of outrage from parents if they were actually standing on the wall and saying that they support those things. And what I just say is, look, you know, stand up and say what you're for, okay? If what you're for is good, you should be willing to stand up there and sing it to the heavens and let the chips fall where they may. The fact that you don't, the fact that you're trying to concoct narratives and manufacture this stuff, you know, that just shows me that you know you're taking positions that are totally untenable. And so I'm not surprised. The funny thing was like, I mean, I think, Evan, you were one of the first to ask me. I just started getting asked about it. I wasn't even following how they're doing the language and all this. And I start hearing these slogans, and I'm like, okay, I know it's BS, right? I don't know what exactly they wrote. I just know this is BS. I can sniff this a mile away. So then when I went back and read what the kind of the language was that they were debating, and it says, you know, no classroom instruction on sexuality or gender identity for grades K through 3. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. Are they honestly going to go? Is this the hill they want to die on? And I understand they had dressed it up differently, but I was like, there is no way that that is something. But I think it was out of desperation, because they knew they couldn't defend it on the merits, and so they had to do it. The good thing is, you know, people reject these narratives nowadays because they know so many of them are false. And so what are they trying to tell you? Why are they doing that? Who's doing that? And when it's the usual suspects, I think the majority of people in Florida, they chalk it up to, you know, that's just business, you know, usual suspects, we're not worried about it. But look, at the end of the day, stand up and say what you're for. If you think January should have been treated that way, then stand up and make that case. I don't think very many people think that. If you think that a Florida parent sending their kid to first grade should have the genderbread man in there talking about being a different gender as for a 6-year-old kid or 7-year-old kid, say that and try to make the case for it. But just be honest about where you're coming from on all this. And so I just want to thank you guys for coming. Yeah, absolutely. We appreciate what you're doing. Thanks, everybody. God bless.